Good day everyone, so today I will be presenting the lesson 5, which is the Uniform Resource Locator, or also known as the URL. So according to Tusher Poll 2024, URL serves as the reference to web resource managed by a computer network. Essentially, a URL acts as the address of a specific web page or a file, such as a video, image, GIF, and etc. on the internet. So basically, URL is like a special address that helps us find a specific resource on the internet. Think of it like a street address for a website or a file. Just as you need a physical address to find a house, URL is needed to find a particular web page or a file online. For example, if you want to access a website, you need to type its URL in your browser. This URL then directs you to the exact web page you're looking for. Without URLs, it would be really hard to navigate the internet and find the information we need. They're like the invisible threads that connects us to the vast world of online information, making it easy for us to access and share it with others. Now that we're done defining the URL, let's now explore the different parts of the Uniform Resource Locator. So the first part of the URL is the protocol, or also known as the scheme. This indicates which protocol the browser should use to access the resource. The most common protocol used are the HTTP, or the Hypertext Transfer Protocol for the web element, the HTTPS, or the Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure for the secure web elements, and the FTP, or the File Transfer Protocol for downloading file. So look at the example I presented on the screen. This URL uses the protocol HTTPS, which means the Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, which indicates that the browser should use a secure connection to access the resource. So the purpose of protocol is to establish a communication channel between the client, your browser, and the server. It ensures that the data is transmitted securely and efficiently. So now let's move to the next part of the URL, which is the subdomain. A subdomain is part of a large domain that helps organize and navigate different sections of the website. Think of it like a folder within a folder. Subdomains are usually used by the website that have a lot of contents and pages, such as online stores, the support platforms, and blogs. They help to break down the website into smaller, more manageable sections, making it easy for the users to find what they're looking for. So for example, if i-search ninyo ang website nga Messenger sa inyong laptop, and di ba sa Messenger is daghan gyud ang mga sections like na siya marketing place, sa mga message request, mga archive, and katong message gyud. So if i-click nimo ang isa ka certain section ana, makita nimo sa URL sa taas niya is ang next sa messenger.com is makita nimo, like for example i-click nimo ang archive, so makita nimo sa URL niya is ang makabutang ana is messenger.com/ then katong archive nagi-click nimo. So this way, users can easily access the specific section of a website they need without having to navigate through the entire site. So the next part is the domain name. The domain is actually the name of your website. It is part of the URL that you can customize to reflect your brand or identity. Think of it like a name on your storefront. Just like how a physical store has a name, a website has a domain name that identifies it. Like for example, if naa kay website nga sparkle.com, kanang sparkle is the domain name, and it always comes before the .com or other top level domains. So the next part is the top level domain. The top level domain is the last part of the website's address, like .com or .org. think of it like a category label for your website. The top-level domain helps organize websites into different groups, like commercial sites, katon.com, organization.org, or educational institution, or katong.edu. So imagine you're looking for a website and you're not sure where to start. So the top level domain can give you a hint about what kind of website you are visiting. Like for example, if you see a website with a .gov top level domain, then you will know that this website is a government website. And if you see a website with a .edu top level domain, then you will automatically know that this website is an educational institution. So basically, the top level domain are like a way to identify what kind of website you're visiting, and they help make it easier for people to find what they're looking for on online. Now let's talk about the last part of the URL, the path. The path is the last part and it comes after the slash. Think of it like a roadmap to a specific page on a website. It helps your browser find the exact page you're looking for. The path is often broken down into smaller elements, like subdirectories, file names, and parameters. So let's look for an example. Imagine we are on a website with the URL like this. The path in this URL is the /encyclopedia/definition /_URL. This path is telling this browser to navigate to the encyclopedia subdirectory, then to the definition subdirectory, and finally to the specific page with the file name /URL. So the path is like the set of directions that helps the browser find the exact resource you're looking for. It is an important part of the URL and it helps make sure you end up on the right page. So we just learned about the path in a URL, which is like a roadmap to a specific page on a website. But what if we need to give the web server even more information to find the exact resource we're looking for? And that's where the parameters comes in. Parameters are like the extra instruction that we add to the path to give the web server more information. They are usually added to the end of the path and they are separated from the path by a question mark. So for example, let's say we're on a web page with a URL like this. So in this URL, long equal n and category equal tech are the parameter that provides extra information to the web server. They help the web server understand what the specific resource we're looking for, and they can affect what content is displayed on the page. So now that we're done discussing the different parts of the URL, let's now move on to another part of this presentation, which is the types of the URL. So there are two types of URL, which is the absolute and the relative URL. So let's first define the absolute URL. So an absolute URL is a complete web address that tells your browser exactly where to find a specific resource on the internet. So think of it like giving someone your full home address. So for example, if you see an absolute URL like the one I presented on the screen, it has everything you need: the protocol, the domain name, the path that leads to the specific page. And because it includes the full address, absolute URL works from anywhere. So this means that if you want your website to have a clickable reference that would take the user to another website, then you would use the absolute URL to ensure that anyone can access that page no matter what they were clicking from, or no matter where they are clicking from. So now let's discuss the relative URL. So a relative URL provides a link to a resource in relation to the current page's URL. So it's like giving someone a direction based on where they are currently are instead of giving them the whole address. So for example, imagine you have a school website with the URL https://www.schoolwebsite.com, and in that website you have a page about event located at the https column/www.schoolwebsite.com/events. So if you want to link a picture of a school event that's saved in the same folder as your event page, you can use the relative URL event-photo.jpg. So if that file of photos is in the folder called gallery, you would link it to it using a /gallery/event-photo.jpg. So this way, anyone clicking the link will easily find the photo without needing the full address each time. So a relative URL are useful for internal links because they make your code cleaner and easier to manage. So this is the table that shows the difference between the relative URL and the absolute URL. So an absolute URL has a complete web address, while the relative URL only have a partial address which links to a resource based on the current page's location. And when it comes to their structure, the absolute URL includes all the parts, which is katong protocol, katong mga path, and the domain. So, sa relative URL naman only includes the necessary parts. Sa ilahang usage, the absolute URL used for linking to a resource on a different domain or website, while sa relative URL used for linking to a resource within the same website. So sa ilahang portability, sa absolute URL always work from anywhere, regardless of the current page. So URL can be accessed from any page on the internet. They always point to the same resource. So sa relative URL naman is may break if the structure of the website changes or if accessed from the different domains. So if you change how your website is organized, like moving the files, relative URL might not work anymore. Also, they can't be used properly if clicked from a different website. So sa ilahang length, the absolute URL is longer and more detailed due to its complete nature, while sa relative is shorter and simpler, making it easy to read and manage. While sa ilahang maintenance, the absolute URL requires update if the domain changes. So it means like if you change your website main address, like from www.oldsite.com to www.newsite.com, then you'll need to update all the absolute URL to the new address. So sa relative URL naman is easier to maintain when moving files with the same site structure. So if you move page or a file around on your website, relative URLs usually still work because they're based on the current location. You don't have to change them. So here's the activity for this presentation. Feel free to pause the video in order for you to answer the following questions. So that's the end of my presentation about the Uniform Resource Locator, and thank you everyone for listening and have a good day.